Well, look what the postman has dropped off. Let's go have a look inside. Okay guys, welcome back for another episode of my mass opening, and this week we have issues 31 through to 34, nicely delivered by the postman. And let's just dive right in. So as always, this will be wax lyrical. I'm looking at it with fresh eyes, just like you guys are, and yeah, we'll be exploring it together. So let me know what you think in the comments below about each issue. Do you think the value is worth it? Do you think it's not worth it? Do you think the content is worth it? Do you think the models or the paints or the brushes or whatever is worth it? Let me know in the comments below. And also don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and click that little notification bell icon next to it so you get all the notifications when I upload a video. So let's dive in to issue 31. So I've already taken the wrapping off just so you guys don't have to hear the noise, but we get ourselves Celestial Grey, which is great. I'm going to need that for the next issue, and also some other details. And we also have Death Guard Green, which is great because if you haven't noticed already, you're probably starting to run out of that colour. And lovely, we have a medium layer brush, so that's going to be a welcome addition for doing some of those details. And it means that you can finally chuck away those starter brushes, or if you do keep the starter brush, you can use it for like messing around with larger areas, so you don't have to worry about having a weird brush for details. Anyway, let's get to it. So in issue 31, Rebuke Guilliman, Origins, Plague Legions of Nurgle, and Painting with Celestial Grey. So let's have a look inside. So we have our little intro from the editor, and then it dives right in with our Space Marines heroes. Number 1, Guilliman, Avenging Sun. So Rebuke Guilliman's early days were spent on the harsh, mountainous world of Macragge. It was there, amongst the disciplined, hard-working people of his adoptive homeworld, that he took his first steps on the path to becoming one of the most powerful warriors and mightiest generals in the galaxy. So a lot of people don't like him because they see him as the poster boy and the goody two shoes. But if you've read any of the Horus Heresy books, you'll know that actually he's a bit of a badass. So yeah, I do like him for what he is. So you got his home planet, Macragge. The government is on monarchy, terrain, numerous islands, large oceans, inhabitants, barbarian tribes, militaristic human society. Okay, so you've got a little bit about his origins and growing up on that planet, and then got a bit more here. So again, it's a nice little bit of story just to explain how his environment affected his behavior, his functions, you know, what really made him the person that he is. Then we move on to Space Marine chapters 1.8, A Brotherhood at War. So this is another timeline of narrative, and of course we've got the forging, we have the time of trials. I won't spoil anything, so I won't be reading loads out, I'll just be covering this briefly. And then of course you got the 41st millennium, so that's where we are now, and the time of ending, the Conquest and Heresy, Bloodstar campaign, Lithon Purge, the Badab War, which has many books for that campaign, the Second Tyrannic War, they did a campaign for that in the stores, the Leviathan Blunted, Third War for Armageddon, they've done that in the stores, the Maelstrom Threat, the 13th Black Crusade, which is what they did to end the 7th edition, and it was a massive thing that started off that huge rift in the galaxy. And then of course Guilliman awakes, so they brought back a Primarch, and they put all the factions of the Adari, which are the Elder for the old school dudes, into one faction, or able to play in one faction. It was quite weird. So the Great Rift, splitting the Galaxy 2, a new breed, so that's when the Primaris Space Marine comes in to shield the Shrine Worlds. So a bit more on that as well. And then we have Space Marine Chapters number 5, Dark Angels. And it says, the Dark Angels were the first legion created by the Emperor of Mankind. Now, over 10,000 years later, the Dark Angels still defends humanity. So they are one of the numerous chapters where once they were a legion, and now they have loads of secondary and tertiary chapters formed from the same gene seed, along with the Ultramarines. And see, you've got Blood Angels. Sorry, the chapter name is Dark Angels, Homeworld Caliban, which is destroyed. It's just literally a monastery on a rock floating in space. Lionel Johnson is the Primarch. Major engagements: Siege of Vrax, Siege of Fenris. Specialisms: Rapid Strikes, Teleport Strikes, Plasma Weaponry. That's one thing you always see with them, they always got plasma weapons. And then we've got a little bit on their specific markings, so it's slightly different to the Codex Astartes standard, with the company markings and stuff like that. And Dark Angels fleet. The Dark Angels make their home aboard a vast fleet of ships. At the center of the fleet is the Rock, a vast mobile fortress capable of interstellar travel. At its core, the Rock is made from the ruins of the chapter's destroyed homeworld Caliban. So that tells you a lot, but you'll need to read a Horus Heresy series to get more on that. And then of course we got our next bit here, 40k Factions 2.1, the Plague Legions. So the Demon Legions of Nurgle may seem like a disorganized mass of heaving flesh, but there is plenty of purpose to their design. Each Plague Legion exists to spread Nurgle's gifts across an undeserving galaxy. Nice. So that's a really nice bit of illustration there as well. And here we have a bit more on how it functions, the legions of Nurgle and all the demons. So again, won't spoil anything. And then how to paint Celestia Grey. So you go back to your Blight Lord Terminators and start painting bits and pieces. So we'll do that in a future episode. And of course some details on your Redemptor Dreadnought and the Rhino, Rakarth Flesh. Doing the other details on there. I've already done that, but that's cool. No worries. Using Agrax Earthshade for some of the details. Rakarth Flesh. So again, you're doing more details here as well. And then the Agrax Earthshade to shade it. So it seems at first a little bit bent to be doing this sort of stage of the painting with the Rakarth Flesh and the Agrax Earthshade. But what they try to do is spread the painting out a bit, so you're not bogged down or feel so you don't feel overwhelmed in any one week. They try to make it in bite-sized chunks so that you can manage week on week. So these issues where it's paint only, very valuable for catching up on the painting. You'll see more of that in the future. And then of course we've got some more Death Guard details. So do the Poxwalkers. And here we go with the rules. Mission 15, Ultramarines Advance. The northern section of Barachias may be under Ultramarines control, but the Death Guard assaults continue. Captain Akiran plans to meet the Death Guard offensive head on and use the momentum of the victory to gain more ground. Sounding badass. Right, and a nice picture here of stuff going down, and so you got a nice little narrative bit there. And then here's the mission details as well. So seize the city, The Captain Acheron and his Ultramarines are about to launch a major offensive. To do so, they will need to clear the remaining Death Guard from the ruins of the northern Hab zones. Unfortunately for Space Marines, Lord Felthius arrived, and he's keen to stop this happening. So you got your objective zones, you got your deployment zones, the armies, which are huge. Again, 2 units of 3 Plague Marines, 2 units of 6 Poxwalkers, Mephitic Blighthauler, Tank Cohort of Felthius, versus the Space Marines, 2 units of 3 Intercessors, 2 Scepters, 3 Aggressors, a Lieutenant Calcius, and the Captain Acheron. And then you got your victory conditions here as well. So that's a great addition. So let's get on to the next issue. So let me know what you think about this. I know some people hate issues with just paint, but I think it's a valuable catch-up session. So let me know in the comments below what you think about that. Okay, so diving into issue 32, and we have our Apothecary. And not any Apothecary, it's the Primaris Apothecary. So let me just have a look at all that lovely, beautiful detail. And you got multiple parts that you can swap out as well. So there's a few little bits for the Mechadendrites. So the server parts of the power pack that you can change. So like here or here, you can have saw injectors, and the same with the weaponry as well. You can have a Narthasium, or you can have like a heavy bolt pistol. And again, I mean, even the base is amazing. You have a fallen Primaris Marine there, and of course he's extracting the gene seed. Yeah, it's bloody great bit of detail there. Now, I don't care what anyone says, but sometimes you get a really good value issue, and for £8 for a chap that would cost you, I think, about £18 or £15 between that from Games Workshop. That's pretty damn good. So can't wait to put that together and paint it up. In this issue we have Space Marine Apothecaries, Primaris Apothecary Wargear, and Primaris Apothecary rules. Let's jump right in. Right, so again, editor message, and then Space Marine Heroes 7, Space Marine Apothecaries. So Apothecaries are amongst the most honoured and respected Space Marines in any chapter. They are supreme battlefield medics and safeguard their chapter's gene seed. They collect, store and grow new gene seed organs to create new Space Marines. Without Apothecaries, a chapter would have no future. The type is infantry, the role is combat medic, specialism is surgery, medical aid and science, designation Primaris Apothecary, prime objective gene seed recovery. So there's a nice picture of a Imperial Fist Apothecary removing some of the gene seed from a fallen brother. And then we have a bit on the Prime Helix. So the Prime Helix is the symbol of the Apothecarian. It is worn by the Apothecaries as a badge of office. This symbol often incorporates the wings of the Imperium or chapter specific symbols. So it's quite cool. It's very reminiscent of the existing medical sign where you have the serpents intertwining. So that's where they got the inspiration. And then you got a bit on the pregenoid gland and the chapter's future, so why they make sure that they safeguard those gene seeds. And then we got a bit on their wargear as well, so the Primaris Apothecary wargear. You got the surgical servo arms, the medical light, canoptic jars. These are to keep the bits and pieces safe. Absolver bolt pistol, that's a nice bit of work there. And the Narthasium, which is this thing here, which helps with the extraction process. And of course, there you go, you have a bit more detail there. And you have like little variations there, and these are the two weapon options as well. So you can have the reductor pistol, or you can have the absolver bolt pistol. So I'm sure there'll be different rules for that. Now moving on, 40k battles, 17. In the depths of the hive. So I won't spoil everything, I'll just read this bit here. But the location is infested hive city. Deathwatch forces, Aquila killed Team Bolvar, and the Xenos forces are Gene Stealer cultists and hybrid mutants. Nasty, nasty sneakies. Right. In the depths of a hive city, a Deathwatch kill team battles the corrupt servants of a Gene Stealer cult. Mutant Gene Stealer hybrids swarm from below, attacking the intruders with tooth and claw. As the fighting escalates, Primaris Apothecary Rosso is called upon to keep his brothers in the fight long enough to complete their mission. So it's going to be following an apothecary in the Deathwatch group, and I'm sure that will make for really good reading as well. And there's a bit on who the Deathwatch are, and then we got a building bit, so how to build up your Primaris Apothecary and the options that you may employ as well. So you got your options on the gun build, and then you got your options on the servos. So it's really cute. And then how to build him. So be base coating the whole thing, Celestial Grey. By this point, if you're not using spray cans, then you know you should be noticing that the paint is rubbing off a bit with use, and I would severely suggest at this stage, because you haven't painted too much, start over again, get some base spray paints and just have at it, because the paint will stay on for much longer. So there's quite a bit of painting going on, so this will keep you busy for a good few hours. That's really good. And then, so that's all your base paints done, and then it moves on to the shades. So you use all 3 shades here, and then the texture base as well. Really. And then fixing mistakes. So if you make any mistakes, it's just showing you how to sort those out as well. So I normally have that in my video as well. Right, and then the rules for mission 16. Honor thy fallen. So there's that mission briefing right there, and here's the mission details. So for this mission you will need 5 objective markers to represent the fallen Space Marines that are littered across the battlefield. We provide you with 2 markers already. You can use coins or other similar sized tokens to represent the other 3 objectives. So if you've got the premium subscription, you should have additional objective markers provided, so you should be fine. But you can always use spare models, it says coins or whatever. The forces: 5 Plague Marines, 12 Poxwalkers, 5 Blightsworn, Biologist Putrefier against 5 Intercessors, Lieutenant Calcius, 5 Reavers, and a Primaris Apothecary. So you're going to be fighting over the Gene Seed of the Fallen. Victory conditions: at the end of the enemy turn, the Apothecary or Putrefier can collect an objective marker in base contact. They cannot collect an objective if they fall back this battle round or are within 1 inch of an enemy. Each objective removed is worth 3 victory points. So it's a race against time to secure those fallen Space Marines. Objectives in play at the end of the battle, at the end of the game, are controlled by the player with the most models within 3 inches and are worth 2 victory points. This game lasts 5 battle rounds, so it could be pretty tight. And then we have our rules for the Primaris Apothecary. So with the 6-inch move, 3+ web skill and ballistic skill, it's not bad. Strength 4, toughness 4, so standard. 5 wounds though, so he is pretty tough. 3 attacks, which means he can hold his own. Leadership 9 and save of a 3+. And then you have your rules for the equipment. So depending on which pistol you go for, you got your Absolver bolt pistol, which is a 16-inch range, pistol 1, so it's 1 shot, strength 5, -1 AP, 1 damage, pretty standard. The reductor pistol is only 3 inches range, pistol 1, so only 1 shot, strength 4, but it's -3 AP, 2 damage, so it can do some pretty good damage if you throw him against some heavier armored units like the tainted cohorts and so on, and if you go up against other enemy characters as well. And then of course you've got your frag and crack grenades, your abilities, and they shall know no fear, so you know that's reroll failed morale tests, codex discipline, so models in the unit can still shoot in the turn they fall back, but you subtract 1 from the shooting phase, or on the shooting roll. And then here's the important bit, the Narthasium. At the end of any of your movement phases, the apothecary can attempt to heal or revive a single model. Select a friendly Ultramarines infantry or biker unit within 3 inches of the apothecary. If that unit contains a wounded model, it immediately regains D3 lost wounds. If the chosen unit contains no wounded models, but 1 or more of its models have been slain during the battle, roll a d6. On a 4+, a single slain model is returned to the unit with 1 wound remaining. If the apothecary fails to revive a model, he can do nothing else for the remainder of their turn, so no shooting, charging or fighting, as he recovers the gene seed of the fallen warrior. A unit can only be the target of Narthasium ability once in each turn. So it has its negatives, but it is handy being able to bring back 1 chap, especially because your numbers are quite limited. And it's playing on the keywords here as well, so you always make sure you take notice of the keywords in the bottom. Alright, and that's that. Done. Okay, so what do you think about that issue? What do you think about the value of the issue itself, the models? Let me know down below. Alright, next issue please. Okay, so this is our next issue, issue 33, and the first thing you could do is just snap that in half. But this is the first of 2 sets of pipes that you'll be getting, and the detail is pretty damn good. I have to say, I mean, all the detail, little pipes and everything, it's great. And the great thing about this is that it is all to scale and easily can be merged with the existing terrain pieces that you have as well. So you can mix things around, you can make unique terrain pieces, so it's really cool. So what do you think about that? I think that's pretty damn cool. Okay, so in this issue we have Space Marine Chapter Masters, painting terrain and barricades in your games. So let's have a look inside. So, message from the editor, and then Space Marine Heroes Chapter Masters. The Chapter Masters commands the might of the entire Space Marine chapter. They are valiant heroes that embody the legacy of their Primarch. So he's got a bit on what they do and who they are, how they become what they are. Becoming a chapter master, it's a little blurb there. And then here is some more infamous chapter masters. So Pedro Cantor of the Crimson Fists, High Marshal Helbrech of the Black Templars, and Kavan Shrike of the Raven Guard. And then we go on to Space Marine Heroes 8, the Honor Guard. So the Honor Guard are chosen from the most courageous and ferocious of the chapter's warriors. They often act as a personal retinue for their chapter master and are responsible for ensuring his safety on the battlefield. So it's a bit more detail on what they are. So they're elite infantry. Their role is bodyguard, and their duties include protecting command assets and dual elite enemies. So there's a lot of bits to read there, and the Victrix Guard, which is the new Primaris honor guard for Rebuke Gilliman, because of course he's going to want an upgrade. And then we move on to 40k Factions 1.4, Cities of the Imperium. There are millions of cities across the vast expanse of the Imperium. Most are grim places to live, their air thick with pollution. So they're diving into more detail on the landscape of the Imperium and the cities in this particular issue. So that's another good bit of reading. So again, I won't spoil that for you. We have 40k Battles, number 18, Death from Above. So, what's this one about? Blood angels descend from the heavens to cold forces of the Black Legion. Alright, sounds like a good mini story to read. So again, that's a bit of toilet reading, so I won't spoil the story there. Then we get to build our thermic plasma conduits. So we'll have a little brief bit on putting them together, but to be honest, there's no one way to do it. You can mix and match the pieces as you feel fit to do so, and you can either glue whole long bits together, or you can keep them separate and just line them up neatly on the battlefield, but as separate pieces. So feel free to go nuts with that. And of course, like this, look, don't glue the two plasma batteries into the control panel. You will be painting these separately. They should fit neatly inside the holes without being glued in place. I mean, you can use these as objective markers as well, so the ability to remove them could play a part in a future mission. And then painting them up, so nice and easy. You only got 4 paints to use, so they can only be as complicated as you want them to be, but it looks like they do quite an effective job, and I'm sure you'll come back to them and start painting like the coils in the blue once you get the right shade of blue. Rules, Terrain 2, Barricades and Conduits. Thermic plasma conduits run through many Imperial cities, distributing energy to factories, arms depots, and other major military and production sites. In your games, these pipes can be used as cover for your models, but the plasma energy that flows through them makes them potentially deadly. So if you're unfortunate and you're ducking behind thinking that you're all nice and safe, just sipping on your cup of tea and nibbling a biscuit, one wrong shot and that's it. Bye bye tea and biscuits. Right, conduits in place. So you got your little examples here. Very easy. We'll go over that in a future episode once I get my shit together. And rules, mission 17. So you got your mission briefing here on protect the pipeline and drain the power. The conflict on Barracaius is raging in Mechanicus Zone BA2, the center of Barracaius' energy production. Many of the conduit lines in the area have been damaged, but a small number of them are still functional. Both forces wish to divert this energy and use it to power their war effort. As you would. So this is a little resource fight. Very narrative. Very important if you're doing a little campaign with your mates. So your deployment zone and your objectives, and of course the armies: 5 plague marines, 12 poxwalkers, a foul blight spawn, tainted cohort, and mephitic blight hauler. And they are facing the space marines: 5 intercessors, 2 hellblasters, 5 reavers, a primaris librarian, and a redemptor dreadnought. Because why wouldn't you throw the dreadnought in? And then of course you've got your victory points as well. So it's about controlling the objective, so it's going to be about who has the most people within 3 inches of the objective, and the last 5 battle rounds. So that looks like fun as well. I really do wish I had more time to play. So what do you think about that issue and the contents? Is it worth the money? Is it worth it for the terrain? Let me know in the comments below. Next. Okay, issue 34, and as you notice, there's something a bit different. We have grey plastic. Now, there could be two reasons for this. One, they might have had supply issues with the colour plastic, as they would have to have got the moulds and everything done separately, and it might have pushed costs and was probably pushing the production time back a bit as well. Or they just thought, you know what, screw this, we're just gonna crack open the Dark Imperium boxes and send out what's in there, because this is exactly what you get in the Dark Imperium box. So let's have a look at the models. They are still beautiful, and it does make it a lot easier to paint them because you've got a very neutral background to start painting, so you'll notice it straight away when you put the paint on there. And look at the detail on the back. You got absolutely amazing, and it's like it's throwing some nasty filth gas and got your bells and incense and your nasty bits and pieces. And I like this bit as well with the Nurgling swinging from the back, swinging his own bell. So yeah, I'm just going to call it, this is a very good value issue in its own because it's 3 characters and the bases to go with them. So let's dive in. Malignant Plaguecasters, Noxious Blight Bringers, Deny the Witch rules. Let's get into issue 34. So again, you have your editor message, and we dive right in with Death Guard Champions 4.1, the Malignant Plaguecasters. So Malignant Plaguecasters fill the air with clouds of filth. With every gurgling breath, they draw in lungfuls of noxious gas from the garden of Nurgle. They then blow them out, phlegm-thick clouds that can rot a man's flesh to bone in seconds. Nice! Definitely want to have him at a party, especially a dinner party. Role is the leader and sorcerer. Specialisms, psychic powers. Weapons, grenades, corrupt staff, and bolt pistol, and psychic discipline, powers of contagion. Awesome. So we have a bit on their background and what they're there for. They have corrupted staff. They have psychic powers and unfavored sons. So these little bits on their rules, their narrative aspects. And then we have Death Guard Champions 8, the Noxious Blightbringer. So infantry support specialisms is the psychological warfare and toxin of misery. Weapons, grenades, plasma pistol, cursed plague bell. It's a big ass bell on top. And preferred targets, massed enemy infantry. So what do? Well, the warped tolling of giant bells herald the coming of a noxious Blightbringer. With every ring, splinters of madness and despair are driven into the minds of the enemy, infecting them with a disease that eats away at their soul, leaving them almost comatose. Awesome. So you want him at the karaoke then? So you got your dinner party guest. You have your karaoke guest. I wonder who or what will be next. So a bit more on there. The Pill Yard. Deep in the bell swamps of the plague planet lies the Pill Yard. This is the fortress factory where the toxins of misery are forged. Within its walls, droning demon smiths create the cursed bells using the pain screams of dying psychers. I just love them even more. They're just getting ever more grim. Come on, fucking suck it, Star Wars. Can't hold up to this kind of nonsense. Right, we got building our Death Guard villains. So this is a pretty quick guide because They're not too difficult. You will notice they are not pish fit at all. They are glueable. So just make sure you keep an eye on those steps. And then painting them up. So you start with green, and then you've got your black. Their belts are bottom glow. I see, look, they're taking it in chunks now, which is great. Sort of breaking it up a bit more. This is a much more effective way of showing how to paint it, and the little details that you can include. Especially because the painting guides are getting a bit more complicated. So this is a little picture of what is to come. How to paint shading. You've got your shading here as well. Ready for war. So they don't look too half bad, do they? And that's only half of the painting done. You still got your layer paints, you've got your different wood colours and stuff like that. So can't wait to find out. And then tutorial 25, Deny the Witch. Psychers are a common sight on the battlefields of the 41st millennium. They are capable of destroying entire units with bursts of warp energy. Fortunately, Psychers have a few tricks to protect their allies, such as using the Deny the Witch ability to block the Psychers' powers of the enemy. So, we already know about psychic powers, but this will teach us how to block that. So it's going to be, if your Psycho is within a certain range, then you roll to beat what they rolled. So say they had to cast something on a 5 or more and they roll 7, as long as you roll 8 or I guess you can roll 7. Is it the same? Yeah, I think if you hit it and beat it, then you negate their ability. But I think there's a limited number of times specified on when you can do that. So it's a bit more on your example there. And then rules, mission 18, kill the plague caster. So that's your mission brief in there. So nice little bit of reading. Don't know why these pages are stuck. It's a bit of a shame. Psychic clash. The Death Guard's malignant plague caster must be stopped. His psychic powers are capable of devastating the Space Marine forces. They must eliminate him before he can unleash any more of his destructive powers upon the battlefields of Corvon 2. Bum bum bum. So, again, you've got your deployment zones, and you'll be following the rules for the terrain as laid out before. And then, of course, you have your armies, so 5 Plague Marines, 12 Boxwalkers, Noxious Blight Bringer, and Malignant Plague Caster versus 5 Intercessors, 2 Hellblasters, Primordial Librarian, 3 Aggressors. Awesome. You gain a victory point for eliminating an enemy unit, and you gain 1 victory point for each psychic power they cast or deny. Sweet! Nice way to encourage use of those psychic powers. And then we have our Death Guard data sheets. So, Noxious Blight Bringer, he moves 5, there's 3+3+ on the Whip skill and Ballistic skill. Strength 4, Toughness 5, 4 wounds, 3 attacks. Leadership 8, 3+ save. Not too bad. He's armed with a Cursed Plague Bell, a Plasma Pistol, Black Grenades, and Crack Grenades. So the Plasma Pistol, he can standard shot or supercharge, and it's 12-inch. And if you supercharge, it would be Strength 8 rather than Strength 7. It's still -3 AP for both options, but you do 2 damage on the supercharge rather than 1. And on a hit roll of 1, the bearer is slain. So you always have that risk with plasma weapons. And then Cursed Plague Bell, it's a melee weapon, user strength, no AP, 2 damage. You can re-roll wound rolls of 1 for this weapon. Very handy. And of course you've got your Blight Grenade and Crack Grenades, so we know what they do already. If you're disgustingly resilient, so 5+ save if you fail your armor save, or if you don't get your armor save rather. Death to the False Emperor. For each hit roll of a 6 this model makes it in the fight phase, it can immediately make an extra attack against the same unit using the same weapon, but you can't generate extra attacks from those extra attacks. And then Toxin of Misery. So this is what is the refined ability for this unit. Units must subtract 1 from their leadership whilst they are within 7 inches of any enemy Noxious Blight bringers. Psychers must subtract 2 instead. In addition, if a Death Guard unit is within 7 inches of this unit when it advances, roll 2 dice and discard the lowest result when determining the distance. Very handy in getting those slow guys up the field a bit faster. And then with the Malignant Plaguecaster, his stats are movement 5, 3+ web skill, 3+ ballistic skill, strength 4, toughness 5, 4 wounds, 3 attacks, 8 leadership, 3+ save, and he's armed with a corrupted staff, bolt pistol, blight grenades and crack grenades. Q. And then what have we got here? Bolt pistol, 12-inch range, strength 4, no AP, 1 damage, corrupted staff, melee, it's +2 strength, so you'll be hitting with strength 6, -1 AP, D3 damage. So you can do up to 3 damage for each successful landed hit. Groovy. And then of course you've got your blight grenade and crack grenade. Miasma of Pestilence. He's got a lot of rules here, by the way. So Miasma of Pestilence has a warp charge value of 6. If manifested, select a visible friendly Death Guard unit within 18 inches of the Psyker. Until the start of the next psychic phase, your opponent must subtract 1 from all hit rolls that target that unit. So that's pretty handy. Putrescent Vitality has a warp charge value of 6. If manifested, select a visible friendly Death Guard infantry unit within 18 inches of the Psyker. Until the start of your next psychic phase, add 1 to the unit's strength and toughness characteristics. That is very handy. So the Space Marine player is definitely going to want to try and deny that. And then Smite, which is your standard psychic ability, warp charge at 5, and select the closest visible enemy unit within 18 inches, and they suffer D3 mortal wounds. If the result is more than 10, they suffer D6 mortal wounds instead. Nice. Pestilential Fallout. Each time this model successfully manifests a psychic power with a psychic test of 7 or more, the nearest enemy unit within 7 inches suffers a mortal wound after the effects of the psychic power has been resolved. This is getting more ridiculous. So you could run up to someone, throw down Smite, and if you rolled up the 10 or more, you're doing D6 mortal wounds. And then if they're within 7 inches, they get hit again with another mortal wound. So you could potentially do 7 mortal wounds to an enemy unit. And of course, you should know by now, 7 is Nurgle's favourite number. So that makes perfect sense. Death to the False Emperor. So again, rolls a 6, generate an extra attack, but those themselves don't generate an extra attack. And disgustingly resilient is the 5+ additional save. Sweet. Psyker. This model can attempt to manifest 2 psychic powers in each friendly psychic phase, and attempt to deny 1 psychic power in each enemy psychic phase. It can swap the Putrescent Vitality and or Miasma of Pestilence psychic powers for other psychic powers from the Contagion discipline. So if you got the premium sub, you'll have a card specifically for that. Otherwise, I believe it should be in the previous issue. Or is it in this issue? No, it's in the previous issue. And you'll have a little list of things that he can do instead. So that's pretty groovy. Right. And then that's the end of that. Well, it's a bit of a shame that the pages here seem to be a bit... So yeah, the memory ran out there, so I'll just continue what I was going on about. This issue here, it seems like there might be a little bit of water damage on it, which is a bit of a shame, but I'm not too fussed about the issue as long as the models are okay. Apart from that, that's the only disappointing factor. This is an amazing set, really good value for money. If you don't think so, challenge me in the comments below, prove me wrong. Right? Yeah, seriously, try and change my mind on it. Paintbrushes aren't cheap, paint ain't cheap. This is a character, that's terrain. I mean, it's half a set, but it's still terrain, and these are 3 characters. What more do you want? It's excellent. The content as well is really good. So, you know, the content has value. As long as you are reading it and enjoying it, then you've paid for a service. So, you know, what can I say? Anyway, so guys, let me know what you think in the comments below about that lot. I have so much to catch up on, so you won't see this getting built or painted for a couple of weeks at least. I haven't even touched the Redemptor Dreadnought or even the Rhino, so but I will be getting to them soon. So make sure that you do subscribe, hit the little bell icon next to the subscribe button so you get the notifications for when I do the uploads. And if you follow me on the social media links, then you can post your works of progress so I can see what you guys are doing, and we can share our passion and show other people what we're working on, so we can get inspiration from each other. Because that's the best way to do this hobby, is to see what other people are doing, get inspiration from what they're doing. Maybe it might influence what you're doing, maybe it might show you that actually that scheme isn't for you, and what you're doing currently is exactly what you want it to be. It doesn't matter, because this is a creative hobby and you have your creative license, so you can go as nuts as you like. So that's honestly, it's my favorite bit, is seeing your guys' work. So share it on the social media links. As I said, they're in the description below. And that's that. Right, I need a cup of tea. So for now, thank you very much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.